Hello and welcome to this special show on Rajya Sabha TV. 10 years ago, India suffered one of the worst terror attacks on its soil when 10 LET terrorists launched coordinated shooting and bombing attacks at several locations in the financial capital, Mumbai. While 9 of the attackers were neutralized after a fierce gun battle with the security forces, the 10th one was arrested, tried and 4 years later hanged for his crimes. Since then, various measures have been taken by the centre, state governments and security forces to thwart such acts of terror. These include strengthening of border management system, better coordination between security agencies, real-time intelligence sharing and swift response mechanism from all agencies involved. For more on how prepared are we a decade after the Mumbai terror attack, we have with us a distinguished panel of guests today in the studio. Let me start by introducing them to you, beginning with Mr. Anil Chowdhry, former Secretary, Internal Security of Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India. We also have with us Mr. P.K. Mishra, former Additional DG of BSF, and we are also joined by retired Major General Ashwani Kumar Sivach, strategic expert and somebody who has served on the ground in areas where counter-terror operations have happened. We are also joined by Mr. Dipanjan, retired NSG commander, and he's joining us on Skype. Welcome all of you gentlemen to Rajya Sabha TV studios. Let me begin with you, Mr. Chowdhry, to try and look at the entire issue in perspective here. It has been 10 years since that, dastardly attack happened, and there have been several measures which have been taken place. Before we come on to what has been done, where do we stand today exactly in terms of securing ourselves, in terms of securing Indian soil, Indian assets and India's population?
Vishal, if we are talking about Mumbai, I can say with confidence that we are far better prepared to neutralize such attacks today. Having said that, they have created an NSG hub within Mumbai. Last time over, if you remember, they had to be flown in from Palam. Took time. And they did not have the commando force to deal with this fully armed AK-47 group of 10 people trained for 4 months, indoctrinated, trained, equipped, and they came in inflatable boats in a dhow called Kuber and got in. There was no maritime security worth the name whatsoever. We are far better prepared on the soil, on the ground, in Mumbai, in ground. But the weak area remains. You see, the 2 nautical miles is the, beyond 2 to 5 nautical miles is the Coast Guard. Beyond 5 nautical miles is the Indian Navy. And the first 2 nautical miles is the responsibility of the police. The marine policing is still very weak. They neither have the boats, nor do they have the manpower or the equipment to detect. And we are talking about a coastline which is very penetrable. You know, they have fishermen going up and down all the time, day and night. Maybe, yes, Gateway of India will be more secure. But what about if you go up? Then the fishermen, they tried to introduce the RFID tags on fishermen's boat. That has also not gone down. It's not practicable. It's not being enforced well. But on the ground, they have an NSG hub. They have the Force 1 of the Maharashtra Police, fully equipped, trained. They have the QRT teams in the police stations. They have 6,000 CCTV cameras all over Mumbai now, which they did not have
at that time.
At that time. So far better prepared. But if you're talking about India, listen, India is huge. You see, and the advantage is always with the terrorists and the attackers. They choose the place and the time, and our security forces have to be prepared all the time, everywhere.
As they say in security parlance, that security forces have to be correct all the time, and the attackers have to be correct just once.
And look at the crowds in India. In Paris and London, you're talking hundreds. Here, you're talking thousands and lakhs. The devastating attacks can happen. Fortunately, that was the last one. Big one. Since then, we have had no attack in Mumbai, even elsewhere. Not that big.
Okay. We'll come back to the the urban areas and the security arrangements and the measures taken there. Let's go on to the border areas first. Let's bring in as of now, General Sivach here. General Sivach, if you look at the entire border management system, that also seems to have undergone a lot of overhaul in the past decade or so. We have had several measures being taken, be it fencing or be it putting other measures in place, ensuring that surveillance is done specifically on the border areas. How would you look at these areas in terms of securing our assets and ensuring that the infiltration part is taken care of?
You know, in last about a decade, a lot of things have happened, especially as far as the counter infiltration grid has become very strong. Now, as far as your international border is concerned, which is up to the Akhnoor sector, starting from Jammu onward to Akhnoor sector, there the fencing has come up. It is by and large quite okay. But from Akhnoor, the line of control then going up to, Ladakh, it's been made very effective. So there is a LC fence. In the LC fence, there is a 3-tier of barbed wire fence, and then there are surveillance devices, there are cameras, then there are many other surveillance devices which can detect even up to 500 to 600 meter. Second thing is that you have unarmed vehicles, then you have drones, then you have a mechanism which is coordinated. Therefore, overall, in last about a decade, as far as counter-infiltration grid has concerned, it has become quite powerful.
Okay.
And it has become very effective. In addition to that, not only on the line of control, even on hinterland, lot of other measures have been done. A more coordination between the security agency is parlance of the day. Because earlier it was happening, everyone was working in their own system and they were working in a watertight compartment. Now, therefore, intelligence agencies, especially in Jammu and Kashmir, are all very well coordinated along with the central government. Okay. Be it army, be it BSF, CRPF, state intelligence. So that is also a very important thing. Okay. So what I am saying is overall, a lot of things have happened and our intelligence grid is become powerful. Our counter-infiltration grid has also become very effective. Surveillance devices are functioning. You are having UAV. You can peep inside that. Inside Pakistan, you don't have to cross. So certain things like line of control and beyond area, including launch pads, are kept under surveillance. Okay. Now also one can tell that about 300 to 300 terrorists are waiting on launch pad, because this we have got real-time input from our UAVs. So therefore, as on today, one can say safely that our counter-infiltration grid is robust, powerful and effective.
Okay, wonderful. Let's now look at the eastern part of the country as well. Let's bring in Mr. P.K. Mishra here, the former additional DG of the BSF. Mr. Mishra, as has been pointed out by General Sivach here and Mr. Chowdhry as well, the urban part, the western part and the northern part as well. But we have a long border on the eastern part also. We share it with Bangladesh, Myanmar and a few more countries. And we have had problems there. So what kind of measures have we taken to ensure that the same kind of robust mechanism that General Sivach is talking about in the northern sector is put in place in the eastern sector as well?
Yes, I can well tell you that in the eastern sector, like that of Jammu fencing, the fencing has been made in eastern sector also, excluding that of the Myanmar border and Arunachal Pradesh also. This is not fenced, but the deployment is quite okay, but I can well tell you in the Indo-Bangladesh border, it is not now very sensitive, because this is the only border where both the sides, and internationally it is very well known that is the India and Bangladesh border guards and Indian BSF, they are working together. Their joint patrolling is going on. This is the first time in the history it has started and is not there with any other border. So I can well tell you, I just visited a few of the border posts only. Last week I was there in Indo-Bangladesh border. The problem was there with Sundarbans, but after this changeover of in Kuch Bihar and other areas where the enclaves were changed, and in Sundarbans those pockets were handed over to Bangladesh, and things are much better. And the best part of it, the joint patrolling in the riverine border is also continuing with Bangladesh border guards.
Okay.
With as far as Indo-Myanmar border is concerned, yes, it is being given to Indo-Tibetan border police, but so far, excluding few patches, the border fencing has not yet come up. That is still to be made. And I hope that most of the drugs and the weapons, the Chinese weapons and the drugs which are coming from the triangle, all the countries that is coming to Manipur and Nagaland from Myanmar, but the deployment has already been made, and it's very good that the area, total area is well covered with RR and Assam Rifles and the Border Security Force along with the local police.
Okay.
There are three types of deployment. The BSF is there, the Assam Rifle is there, and in the depth also the local police, the border police battalions are also being
deployed. You have a three-layer security as far as the Western front is concerned as well. Let's bring in another guest, Mr. Dipanjan, the former commander of NSG. You must have heard all our three panelists. If you look at from NSG's point of view, a force which was created and which has the sole responsibility of thwarting or putting in place the counter-terror attacks. What kind of measures do you believe have been taken in the past decade or so, and how would they play out in a real life scenario if required?
As far as NSG is concerned, there is a remarkable change in last 5 years. There are a couple of things which are very, very crucial for NSG operation, or rather successful NSG intervention. One is the communication gap between the intelligence department, and there are a remarkable positive change in last 4-5 years. So we are getting, I believe we are getting the regular real-time intelligence reports. And another thing that I think some general here mentioned that during 26/11, 10 years back, NSG had to wait for a couple of hours, 6, 7, 8 hours as the most valuable time. That problem is not there because we have hubs in Mumbai, in Chennai, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Calcutta, etc. So the response time is now minimized. And the other very important crucial factor is we have several very, very sophisticated weapons. Not only weapons, the other the equipments like thermal detector, etc. And the main support system everywhere, whether it is, I'm talking about Mumbai. So, one gentleman has mentioned that guard force, that Force 1 and Mumbai QRT, because to some extent I am directly involved with the training of this QRT team and Force 1. They are shaping up very well. So the primary hit, I believe, in every state or every major cities, if anything happens, the primary hit NSG can take away within no time, very quickly, without losing any response time. But one most important thing I would like to mention here, I don't think that in today's scenario, after 10 years of that 26/11, there will be any further organized attack which we had experienced during 26/11. Now they have changed their modus operandi. Now they will rather put focus on the lone wolf concept. So as far as arms, equipment, training, operation, we are ready, we are doing well, we are absolutely prepared. But I believe we need to improve our intelligence even more, and we need to involve our community policing, because the lone wolf is something which will be very, very difficult, whether it's for Force 1 or NSG or any organized armed forces or
yes, indeed, Mr. Roy, that's a very significant point which you have made there. The modus operandi which has changed, and that is something wherein I would like to bring in Mr. Chowdhry again here, something which you were mentioning in your first response as well. When we talk about the way Mr. Dipanjan Roy was explaining that, the way the threat has changed over the years, and obviously the way we tackle the threat, that operation, that method will also have to change. So in what sense or in what terms have we evolved our strategy as well when we talk about the lone wolf threat or the other changed modus operandi, specifically in urban areas?
Vishal, understandably, when we talk of border security, we focus attention on Pakistan border and the land border. But our coast is 5 times the length of the land border. That is a soft underbelly which was taken advantage of by Pak ISI, Pak Army, then infiltrated. See, that continues to be the soft underbelly You see, from Rann of Kutch, we have the Arabian Sea on one side, we have the Bay of Bengal on the other side, and all along. It's, that is the real challenge. We need better technical intelligence inputs to detect and prevent such attacks.
Okay.
Commandos will go and meet that situation, retrieve the situation. But how to detect, that is technical intelligence, image intelligence, communication intelligence, that is where we have to build our resources far more than what they are existing on the ground today. That is the area which we need to focus at. Lone wolves, yes, in cities they have tried, but in India, lone wolves, yes, they can cause damage, but not to the extent that it can be caused by a group of people with fully armed and with bombs. And bombs, you see, that's another huge challenge. Guns, yes, you will be able to detect. How will you detect, even by CCTV cameras, in areas at night, people leaving bombs and bicycles, rickshaws, auto rickshaws, wherever.
So there will have to be, managed. We'll come to you, Mr. Mishra. But Mr. Dipanjan, yes, you have something to add, I believe.
I believe the lone wolf is again, it's a very, very crucial factor we need to put focus, because it's not we, it's the other part, the terrorist organization. They also very well, they know where the NSG hubs are. So there are n number of major cities where there is no NSG hub or no so-called quick response team or anything. So they can simultaneously create panic, terror across India just using 5, 6, 7, 8 lone wolves with, like exactly my previous panelist, he was saying, like Fida attack. I mean, it's impossible to detect.
Okay.
Unless and until we have a very strong community surveillance system. It cannot be possible only through using armed forces or gadgets or equipments.
So exactly the same thing, Mr. Chakrabarty, the same thing which Mr. Chowdhry was also pointing out, that we'll have to have a robust technical surveillance as well. Anything apart from that, Mr. Mishra, you would like to add on to, apart from technical surveillance, the ways we can tackle the evolving modus operandi of these terror organizations?
Yes, most of the countries, surrounding this Bay of Bengal, they came forward to have proper intelligence coordination and to check piracy, and particularly to check the militancy in Bay of Bengal. Arabian side, yes, I had a discussion with the DG Coast Guard, and I had a visit also to Sar Creek in Gujarat border. Sar Creek, the BSF has already, they have developed a lot of air recce that is going on, and this road which they have made up to 0 point from, through the Sar Creek up to the 0 point, up to the end point, and deployed RT guns there. It is really fantastic the way they are covering Sar Creek. That was the only way of penetration of these jihadis from Pakistan to Gujarat and Bombay. So that has been already covered by Border Security Force, but that is with the BSF. And most of the BIMSTEC countries came forward that yes, Bay of Bengal is the hub and for piracy and for the militancy, and they all have combined for cooperating with Indian Coast Guard and Indian Navy in keeping a
so
track
the international cooperation as well,
yes,
and that's also a very important part.
Yes.
But let's go back to the point at helm here, and tackling the devising methodologies which these terror organizations are coming up with, the evolving methodologies they have. Jan Sivach, how would you pinpoint the ways to go ahead and tackle them? Technical surveillance and intelligence sharing is obviously the two important aspects of that.
Vishal, you see, we have very correctly pointed out that we have a problem. The coast is quite a big, that is one neighbor. Then we have a northern portion, which is Jammu and Kashmir, where you have a very robust counter-infiltration grid. Then you have a northeast. I still feel the northeast still weak. We must understand we have a multiple agencies which are looking after these borders. That the one which is looking after Pakistan is the BSF. Then the one which is looking after Bhutan as well as Nepal is SSB. And then Assam Rifle was earlier looking after Myanmar, and then BSF was looking after Bangladesh. What happened is that in this area there are gaps. There is a vulnerabilities. And remember, in Nepal there is a porous border, and also in Bhutan. So therefore, technically, there is a need to be a coordination that side.
Okay.
You remember what is happening? 7,20,000 Rohingyas are now in Cox's Bazar in Bangladesh, and they are not now going back to Myanmar. And the chances of they coming inside India are very high. 40,000 already, now 80,000 they have become. And there is a chance of they being radicalized, which ISI is already done. Many other Bangladeshi militant group which are jihadis, which have been able to make a dent. So my point is, my worry is that our counter-infiltration grid in northeast is still weak. We need to tie up. This requires your intelligence coordination, and the agencies which are on the ground also must coordinate with each other.
Okay.
Challenge is huge, but it has to be done, because no point doing it in northern side and also on the coast if you are weak on northeast side. The another thing which I was trying to convey is that coordination is required to be done. As on today, we are slightly lacking coordination at national, state level and agency level.
Okay.
And we must make use of the technical aspect of that. You make use of satellite, make use of UAV. See, today the state-of-art weapon system and surveillance equipment is there. We need to do that, because in any case, any terrorism or any action which take place, you will not get a second chance. And terrorists are not going to repeat the modus operandi, neither the place nor the modus operandi.
Okay, as Mr. Chakraborty put it, that the first few hours and the first responses is something which is very, very crucial. Mr. Chowdhry, putting everything in perspective before we bring this show to an end, some have been pointed out by General Sivach as well, you know, some areas where we need to have a bit of an improvement as well. But we have come a long way in the past decade or so in taking those stern measures and putting mechanisms in place. How would you look at the situation right now in terms of both the border management as well as the intelligence gathering and the coordinated systems for security forces within the hinterland as well?
See, I agree with Mr. Bankar. He is very correct. You see, nobody has a better feel on the ground about intelligence flow than the policemen on the beat. They have to be sensitized to the threat, and they are the best positioned to collect human intelligence.
They're the first line of defense.
Yes, yes. Neither the BSF, nor the army, nor the ITBP, they don't belong. They live there. They speak the language. They understand the ethos of the place. They get the flow of any suspicious activity. Police stations have to be sensitized. They must be a representative, and coordination, yes. The multi-agency center has been set up years ago. I do not know how effective and functional it is today. It needs to be strengthened, not only at the center, states, every district should have multi-agency meeting frequently and working together to exchange. Yes, we got this, you got this, this is the picture which emerges, let's go ahead and meet it together. Unfortunately, in our country, this has been lacking, very correctly put by General. Everybody on his own turf. Intelligence sharing goes on internationally.
Yeah.
Among agencies, let me confide in you, I've been part of it. They do meet and they have hotlines working. But these hotlines must permeate to the last level.
So we need to have a coordination at our own security agencies level, within the nation as well, and within these security agencies different as well. Mr. Mishra?
Yes, that is what is required. But I can well add another point that recently the border security force in the Jammu border, they have made the smart border fencing absolutely well connected. All the frontier headquarters and the battalion headquarters and the patrol parties on the ground, they are being connected through, and the weapon system, they are all connected through satellite and UAV and drones, as he was mentioning. This smart fencing has already been done in Jammu border, and this is also, that was opened by Mr. Rajnath Singh. He visited Samba and Arispura border and he has opened it, and the same thing is going to be continued there in eastern border also. Only problem we are facing is this electromagnetic fence above the river beds. That is in eastern sector, so as also in the Punjab border. That is what is pending, and this will be done. The electromagnetic fence and the sensors under the river, below the river. These two are pending.
General Sivach?
So they do not deny the fact. What happened is that though the line of control, the grid system and on the border grid system is there, since the rivers number of terrain is difficult, at places there are gaps. And these gaps are what which are exploited by the terrorists. So we have to be alert and like thinking that everything will be stopped on line of control and international border may be foolish to understand that. So therefore, we have to have a multi-grid system where the intelligence also play, like police which have been brought, but police will take a lot of time to come up to the required standard. We cannot leave the security to the police. So therefore, the other agency has to step in, and there has to be more coordination among them.
Okay.
And we have to find out new modern methods, and we must evolve methods of also coordinating our agencies with foreign agencies, as we were bringing it out, so that you get real-time input. And once you get real-time input, you must have a force available to react and act timely to bring the result immediately on the ground.
And encounter the threat. So as our panelists are pointing out that it is a mix of several steps which have been taken and which needs to be further improved upon, be it in terms of augmenting the infrastructure capabilities or intelligence sharing or real-time technical surveillance. But ultimately, all of us will have to be on high alert, and our security agencies are doing exactly the same to thwart any such terror attacks in the future. We'll come back again with a different set of guests. Till then, keep watching Rajya Sabha Television.